Okay, so now we're going to talk about the body of the essay. And so we are going to take a look at our thesis statement. So that should tell us the information that we need in order to understand what the body is going to say. So what he's saying is, I believe that immigrants like my family and I deserve the same right to education as natural-born citizens because education of immigrant children will evolve them into valuable assets to the American society, as well as prevent large social costs in the future. Okay, one thing about this thesis statement that's really great is that it's very specific. He's not just saying, I believe that education is a fundamental right because all people deserve it. He's really, really specifically talking about it from his point of view as an immigrant to this country and how it's so important for him. But his real point here is that it is beneficial to society, to American society in general, especially because of costs, so economics, okay? So he's got this very, very specific thesis statement, and this is what I mean by the more specific that you can get with your thesis statement and your topic sentences, it's actually easier to write more, okay? So it seems kind of like if you choose a broad, big thesis statement that can encompass a lot of things, that you'll be able to write more pages, but actually the opposite is true because you get into this situation where you just don't even know where to start, what to say. But this is sort of built in. He knows exactly what he's going to be talking about. He is going to be talking about his perspective, personal perspective, and he's going to be focusing on why or how education benefits society economically. Okay, really, really specific. Okay, so his topic now, when we look at the entire essay, we can see it only has one body paragraph, and that is okay. That is not bad. In fact, it's better to have one body paragraph that's really developed and really specific and has all these examples and a great quote, at least one or two quotes. It's better to have a big developed body paragraph than it is to have two short paragraphs that are just kind of bare bones, that are just basic. Okay, that's not what you want. Okay, so remembering what his point was from the thesis statement, we can look at the topic sentence, and sure enough, it says, education as a fundamental layer of success for Americans serves as the primary boost for the economy of the United States. Okay, so now he's going to be talking about how education makes American society better because of economics. So he's got that sentence. Then he explains it with another sentence. Okay, so this is like his explanation. It's his words. And then again, his words. Many try to argue. Okay, now this is what's called a counter argument. So now he's saying what the opposite side says. He's bringing it up for the reason of arguing against it. So let's see if he does it effectively. So many try to argue. So it's very clear that it's other people's opinion, not his. Many try to argue that education is a right that should be available only to naturalized citizens, which limits the immigrants and their children from reaching the so-called American dream. Okay, so now he's going to argue against it. He brings in a quote here, but I think actually there's a little mistake here. And what I would suggest to him is he needs one more sentence here to really explain this counter argument or the other side's argument and really make it very clear again that this is not only is it not his opinion, but why it's wrong. Okay, so I think one more sentence would be better before he comes with the quote. Also, there's a slight little mistake right here. The period should be first and then the quotation marks. Okay, so now he has the quote, according to, is education a fundamental right. He did that perfectly. And now he's gonna, so that's the top bun. Now he's gonna say what it says. The Constitution drafted in the summer of 1887 does not mention the right to education, but the Northwest Ordinance passed by Congress that same summer held that. And so this is his words, and then he brings in the quotation. Okay, held that religion, morality, and knowledge being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools, and the means of education shall forever be encouraged. Okay, and then so he brings this quote in, and then he has to explain it. So here's the bottom bun right here. This ordinance clearly states, so he's doing this again. You can say in other words, like he did above, or you can use something like this means or this shows. In this case, he says this ordinance clearly states that education is necessary for the public and should not be restricted based on migration status. And what's more, immigration was not even a problem back when the Constitution was written because all Americans were naturalized Europeans in foreign lands. That's a really good point, actually. Furthermore, okay, here's another point here. With education being so important, people shouldn't be restricted and forced into poverty when there is an opportunity to shape those young immigrants into honest, fair, and tax-paying citizens. Okay, so another point now, what I think he could also add here that would make it even better is a personal example. So we know that this is personal to him. We already know that this is part of his life, and that he's an immigrant, and so it would be better if he had a couple more sentences at the end here that brought that up, that explained exactly how he has contributed to the economics of the United States, or perhaps his children who are educated here, how they have. So that's the kind of information that would be great to have here. Then he goes into his conclusion. The conclusion is actually a little long for this essay. It doesn't need to be this long. But let's go ahead and take a look at it. In conclusion, education is an aspect that all people have a right to obtain no matter their immigration status. Education is not only a right but an investment because it protects success in American society and its economy. Every child deserves the right to have access to quality education, which opens the way for him to be productive, happy future. As a personal testimony, so before we get to that, this is just all repeating kind of the points. And then he's going to go into his personal story here. As a personal testimony, my children, my spouse, and I came from a place where education is clearly either impossible or in no way affects the future life or career. Moving to the land of opportunity gave us the extra motivation to become successful and productive parts of society. So this is kind of his example. And again, I think it would be a little bit better if he had mentioned this in the body paragraph, and then that would be a great connection there. For children of illegal immigrants, education at school gives them a chance to break out of the low socioeconomic class and realize their dreams. Again, very general. The public school system provides every child in America with equal opportunity to move forward. For this system, it does not matter where the children were born and what language is their mother tongue. Public schools instill in students of all backgrounds the skills needed to move forward and succeed and benefit society. So just some really general statements, kind of repeating his arguments above. One thing that he could also add, but of course this conclusion is already long enough, but if he needed to add more to this conclusion, he could bring up what's called a call to action. And the call to action is where you make a plea to your reader, and you say, we must do such and such. We have to do this thing, or we must change laws, or we must make a law, or we must allow as a society, we must do something. Okay. Then we're going to take a look at the works cited page. He just copied and pasted this, and it looks like there is actually a mistake here. So this is the Constitution. It shouldn't be indented. This should actually be over to the side. But let's see if he quoted all of the sources. Okay, so the first one he quoted is education a fundamental right? Yeah, he used that one. And then the next one is education a fundamental right? And he quoted that one. So actually, what he needs to do is take this out because he didn't quote that, and also this one too. He didn't quote that, and he only quoted this article. So that's really the only article that he should have here. So that's what I would tell him, is take these two out and only include the article that you quoted. Okay. All right. So I hope that helps you. We're going to be talking about this stuff a little bit more in this module and looking at some different sample essays as well. So thank you for following along, and I will talk to you later.